Okay, so let's talk about cylinders. This is an orange juice can and it has a diameter of 4 inches and a height of 6.5 inches. So I see that labeled here. This is my diameter and the height is 6.5 inches. Now I'm going to rewrite that as 6.5, which is equivalent to 6.5, but it's going to be easier to enter in my calculator, and I'm going to label that. That's my height of my prism, Let's look at our formulas. V is volume, R is the radius. We see it there in our circle. H is the height of the cylinder. And it looks like those are the only variables we see. So we're ready to go on our formula. It says how much material is needed for the label of the can, Well, the label goes around the side of the can, so it doesn't include the top or bottom. So around just the sides, that's going to be my lateral area. So the lateral area is 2 pi times radius times height. And so remember, we get points just for picking the right formula. Now we're going to plug into it. That's 2 pi. Our radius, we don't have it. We have the diameter. The radius is the diameter divided by 2. Okay, so the radius only goes halfway across. So if it's 4 units all the way across, if we divide that in 2, it's only 2 units for the radius. So 2 units is my radius. So my radius is 2. And so I'm going to label that here so I can find it. Okay, so I need my radius. We just said it was 2. The height of the prism, we have it labeled, it's 6.5. So in my calculator, I put 2 times pi times 2 times 6.5. So let's practice putting that in because we need to find that pi button on our calculator. So it's 2 times pi. We're not using 3.14 to estimate pi ever again. We're in upper level math at the high school. We're going to use the actual pi button. So 2 times pi times 2 times our height, which was 6.5. Okay, and we get 81.68 is going to round to 81.7. So that equals 81.7. My units are inches. We're looking at area, lateral area, so that's going to be square inches or inches squared. So 81.7 square inches. Then it asks, how much material is needed to construct the can? How much material for the entire can? Well, that includes the sides and the top and bottom. So we want the total surface area. That formula is 2 pi r squared. Let me erase that extra line there so it's not confusing to us. Okay, so that's 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi r h. Okay, so we are going to go find the things we need from our picture. The radius we said was 2. I've got it labeled here. Radius is 2 and here. Okay, so that's 2 squared plus 2 pi. I need my radius again, so that's 2, and I need my height. We said the height was 6.5. So I'll put 6.5 in. So I'm literally just following the formula, and every time I hit a variable, I pull it from my picture into the formula. Now, what part of this formula do you think is the most common mistake? It is definitely forgetting the square on this radius. Even if they write it in the formula, sometimes students forget to put it in the calculator. So let's go see if we can put that in our calculator correctly. So that's going to be 2 pi times our radius of 2 squared. We aren't going to forget it. Plus 2 pi times my radius of 2 times my height of 6.5. Okay, I get 106.8. So that's 106.8. We're still in inches, and this is surface area. So I know it's inches squared or square inches for my surface area. Okay, then the last thing they ask for is the volume. So let's see. Sorry about that. How much liquid can fit in the orange juice can? How much liquid can fit is the volume. So they want us to find the volume. Okay, so volume, if we look at that formula, that's going to be pi r squared times height. So my volume formula, trying to find space over here, is pi times radius squared times height. So we have our radius. If I go find it, we said it's 2 units. squared times our height, which is 6.5. I put that in my calculator. I get that 2 pi r squared times height is 81.7. It's inches, but this time we're doing volume. I always come back and see what we're finding. We're finding volume. Volume is what kind of inches? Cubic inches, or inches cubed. All right, one more cylinder problem. We want to look at, it says the soup can. It says the surface area of the soup can. Pay attention to what kind of area it is, because that's going to affect the formula. The surface area of the soup can is 51.84 inches squared. The diameter of the can is 3 inches. Did any of our formulas ask for the diameter? No. So when they give us the diameter, I want to go find the radius. The radius is the diameter divided by 2. So 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. And it'll be easier to plug in as a fraction, but you can plug it in as a decimal if you want. So I'm going to find my radius and label it. Okay, find the height of the can. They want to know what the height equals. The height equals what? They want to know. Okay, do you remember our strategy? If they give us the surface area and we want to solve for the height, if they give us the surface area, we're going to plug it into the formula for surface area. So the formula for surface area is 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi rh. So we know the surface area is 51.84, so I'm going to plug that in. 2 pi. We found our radius. Our radius we said is 1.5. So I'm going to put 1.5 and I'm going to remember to square it, plus 2 pi. Following my formula, I need the radius again. So my radius is 1.5 and my height is, we don't know what our height is. So our height, I'm going to leave it as an h. I don't need the parentheses since I'm leaving it as a variable. But now we have an equation, and the only variable we don't know is the height. So we should be able to solve for it. Okay, let's talk about this equation for a minute. Terms are separated by addition and subtraction signs. So I have one term here, and I have another term here. It's equal to this 51.84 on the other side. I want to get this h by itself. So what should I do first? Well, I'm going to use my calculator to help me clean this up. I'm going to leave the 51.84, but I'm going to put this first expression in the calculator to get a decimal approximation. Now, when you get in higher level maths, they will make you keep it exact throughout and only go to the calculator in the final step. But as we're still learning this process, we're going to go ahead and use our calculators to simplify it. So it's 2 pi. We said our radius was 1.5, and that needs to be squared. So I get 14.1. So we are going to introduce a little round-off error here by rounding at this point, but that's okay for geometry. For geometry, that's okay. When you get in upper level math, they'll have you keep it exact until your final expression, but that will just make it a little easier to work with for us. Now I want to do plus. You could put the coefficient on this h in your calculator and get a decimal approximation there. That would just introduce a little bit more round-off error. So I'm going to keep this part exact because it's not too bad to keep by it correct. So 2 times 1.5 is 3 pi h. So all I did was multiply the 2 times 1.5. So I cleaned it up a little bit, but not as much as we did with the first expression. Now remember, our goal is to get this h by itself. So look at this equation. What do I need to do first if I'm trying to get the h by itself? Well, right now it has a 14.1 added to it. So I'm going to undo that addition by subtracting 14.1 from both sides. So if I subtract 14.1 from both sides, that's going to cancel. That gives me 3 pi h on this side equals 51.84 minus 14.1 is 37.74. Now, last step to get that h by itself. Right now, it's bumped up against 3 pi, bumped up next to each other means multiplied together. How do we undo that multiplication? With division. So I'm going to divide both sides by whatever h is multiplied by. So it's multiplied by a 3, so I'll divide by 3. It's multiplied by a pi, so I'll divide by pi. What I do to one side of the equation, I have to do to the other side of the equation. What happens when I do that? 3 over 3 cancels, pi over pi cancels. I'm left with my height equals, and let's put all of this in my calculator. 37.74 divided by 3 pi. So let's go practice that. So 37.74 divided by 3 pi. And I get it's going to round to 4. So it's going to round. I'm going to change that to an approximate sign to show that it's approximately 4. And what are our units? We're getting the height here. That's height in not square inches, just regular inches for height. So my height is approximately 4 inches. Remember, the wavy approximate sign just communicates to your reader that you have round off error, that answer is not exact. But it's optional. You can always use the regular equal signs, but the wavy equal sign is the approximate sign. It just tells me that's not the exact answer. It's approximate. Okay, so that's cylinders.